There you are. Those are my grapes. Welcome to Viking Preparedness. Let me get this set up. Is that better? All right. When I was a kid, I won some kind of contest. I used to read like you wouldn't believe. Pass it on to my children also. I read so many books. And I won some kind of contest. I think it was a summer reading program or something, you know, where you checked off all the books you read. And for winning that, my teacher, coordinator, I don't really remember the details, gave me a book then called Aesop's Fables. And it had these drawings in it and had these cool stories, as it turns out, written by a guy named Aesop back in Greek days. Lots of little stories with a moral kind of thing. And one of them I liked a lot was The Fox and the Sour Grapes. Fox. And as the story goes, now, these, I guess I'll back up before I tell my story. These we just made very quickly out of some old sycamore. They're not going to last. We just wanted to get these grapes up a little bit out of the blackberry bushes, which go all the way that way. And we've done that in a couple different places. We're going to eventually, for the grapevines that do well, make raised. You know where you take the 4 poles in the ground and then make a square around the top and you put the grapes on a trellis about this high so you can just reach up and pick them? Well, they've done that for eons. And there's one of these, and a fox is hungry, and he's padding around, and he sees these delicious, succulent, juicy grapes just hanging down. And he looks up and he goes, man, those look delicious. And so he jumps up, and he can't jump high enough. And he jumps and he jumps, and he can't get high enough to get the grapes. And then he tries to climb up the pole, but he's a fox. They don't climb trees. And he can't get up there, so finally he goes, they're probably not even ripe and sour anyway. And he walks away. Sour grapes. Over the years, here and on YouTube, you have heard me say, come out of her, my people. And by that, I mean, come out of the built-up places, come out of cities, suburbs, and get you to a rural, I'm trying to fix my camera, and I'm so OCD, get yourself to a rural place. And I've gotten many excuses from people who claim they can't do that. See, to my mind, there's a total difference between saying you can't do something and you don't want to do something. If you don't want to do something, that's you, man. You do you, boo. You know, just own it. I ain't going to do that. Don't want to do that. Own it. But people aren't. They're not. Most people. Probably you are. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But most people, they're not that brave, that self-confident, that whatever. And they won't stand up in the face of Pastor Joe or anybody else and say, no, I ain't going to do that. And so they come up with excuses. You know, I can't. You don't understand my special situation. And I've talked about that before. But there's another slightly more devious one, and it's what I call sour grapes. And it basically goes like this. Being in the country is not going to help you. They're eventually going to get to you anyway. If this whole country goes bad, they're eventually coming out to you. They did it here, they did it here. Look at this example, look at this example, look at this example. And they just leave it there. Like it's sour grapes. It's hopeless to move to a rural area because they're eventually going to get you, man. Sour grapes. Sour grapes. These people who say these things know deep down in their soul that it is better for them living through the chaos that comes to be in a rural area away from people. What are the 2 greatest threats in a chaotic situation? Starvation and people behaving badly. The 2 are usually related. Starvation and people behaving badly. And so what you want to do is get away from people in general and have a lot of food. and the ability to produce more. Because you see, out of a given population, I'm going to totally make up numbers now. Out of a given population of 100,000 people, there are, probably less than 1%. Now see, we just exceeded my math. I'd have to move the decimal point. That are criminal-minded. Okay, so in a given area where you densely pack in 100,000 people, there's X amount of criminals. Well, if you take that same number, 100,000 people, and go to a rural area, you spread it out this far, now there's that same amount of criminals very widely scattered. So your chances of running into one are much less than if you're in a deeply packed place where there's all these creeps and weirdos and criminals and everything else. And yeah, when times get hard, tough times call for, desperate times call for desperate measures. Where do you think things are going to fall apart first? In the cities. And so normal people that were on the edge of criminality, but they weren't, they're going to become criminals too. And people are going to start doing bad things, and there'll be more of them in a tighter space than there will be out here. That's just population numbers. That's just math. The other thing about being out in the country is a lot of people in the country are way beyond city folk, beyond suburban folk, on being self-reliant, self-sufficient, and neighbors helping neighbors. You don't get that. I lived in suburbia in Northern Virginia, 3 or 4 times during my military career, and you rarely know all your neighbors. You live there for 3 years. You don't know them all. How can that be? And if you do know them, you meet them, and they're like in total vibes of, okay, fine, why are you even knocking on my door to say hello? I know you live next door, but leave me alone. Mow your grass and we'll be fine. Right? But out in the country, people stop in and they help each other and they jaw jack and they stop their trucks when they're going different ways and they talk. So you have that cooperation. So things are not going to fall apart as quickly in the country. Well, eventually it will, Pastor Joe. Eventually it's going to get to you too. Well, in that eventually, you people who stay in the build-up areas are already going to be dead or acted upon. And I'll still be alive. So you know what that gives me? The ability to go, I guess we're going here and doing this. More time to scope out the situation, more time to assess what's actually going on and what's going to come next, and therefore what actions me and mine have to take. All the while eating fresh veggies and eggs from my chicken coop and, whatever, right? It's a bad reasoning. It's sour grapes to say it's eventually going to come out to you. Look at Russia. It finally came out there. Yeah, years after it came to the cities. So those people had time to react. Did I ever say, I'm planting my feet right here and I'm never going to move from this spot? No. Matter of fact, if you've been around long enough and you paid attention long enough, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go right now. So are the Shofarians. Do we want to? Heck no. We want to stay here. This is awesome. But we're ready to go. We're mentally ready. We're physically ready. We're emotionally ready to torch this place and move out. Don't let your mind get trapped. If you like living in Babylon, if you like being surrounded by all the shiny things and all the beauties of the modern world and, the convenience of it all, then just own it and say, I'm staying here. This is what I like. I like calling Uber and having Ethiopian food delivered to my house and, super high 5G Wi-Fi and blah, blah, blah. Okay. America, or wherever you are in the world. Probably everybody watching this lives in a free country, supposedly. Do what you want to do. I'm telling you, when the crisis occurs, the people who live out in the boonies are going to do a lot better for a lot longer than the people who don't. Was watching, reading a news report. Somewhere in California, they just dictated If a house has a party or a gathering, a large gathering of people, they're going to cut off the power and the electricity to that house. Probably to a church too, if the church says, you know, we're going to do this thing. And then they have codes that you can't have people in a building that doesn't have electricity and water. And you see how they're just nasty, slimy people. Good luck doing that out here. What you going to cut? You come out here with a pair of bolt cutters and try and cut my solar panel, you're going to catch a sickness, some kind of poisoning. Not going to happen. I don't care what they do with the utilities. People saying, you know, oh, all this thing's going to happen and they're going to take down the electrical grid. They're going to blow up certain transformers and that'll cause a cascade. I just read that the other day. Won't bother us at all. We won't even notice. The only way I know the power's out around here is when my neighbor texts me. Neighbor's a relative term out here in the boonies. But when my neighbor texts me and says, man, my power's out. We had a thing of storms come through here about a year or so ago, and he texted me with all the little characters that symbolize curse words. Wrestle, wrestle, mesha, mesha, mesha. It was, my power's gone out 10 times today. I was a jerk. Oh, I didn't notice. My power didn't go out. So see, that's one of those little things, right? Goes out there, life becomes untenable. Fan quits working, AC's off. Now I got to worry about all that stuff in my 2 freezers and my refrigerator because it's not working. My stove doesn't work. Nothing works, man. Oh no, nothing comes out of the tap. Oh no, life is terrible. Meanwhile, out here, we're like, you know, open the fridge, look in. You want some cold water? Okay. Bloop, 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 bloop. Don't let your mind be trapped. Don't let yourself make excuses for yourself. If you know you're supposed to be in the country, in a rural setting, don't make excuses for yourself. Go do it. Time is of the essence. All right. I hope you all have a great weekend. I intend to. All right. I'll see you out there.